I think this goes back to the answer to my previous question. I think that in order to help promote more family-friendly policies and also balance the at-home responsibilities, we need more family-friendly policies from employers. Things like parental leave, where it's for both women and men. I think that that's really important. We also know that from a research standpoint that parental leave policies are available when it's available to both men and women, that it also helps close the gender pay gap. That's one of the biggest issues for me.
It seems like it's more and more common that industries and private business are offering the family-friendly type of policies that the treasurer does. And many of my friends talked about, the parental leave, not just, maternity leave, that is parental leave that's being offered. And I think that will go a long way in helping, women deal with that struggle between motherhood and career, and it makes it's even great for the children to have that time with their the father figure in the beginning. Or I know the treasurer allows it to be taken at any point within a certain period of time after birth, but I know some companies mandated that it's taken as soon as the baby's born. So that's a critical bonding time, and I think it's good for mother, dad, and baby. So I think it's nice to see that it's catching on, and I think the treasurer was at the forefront of that issue in a lot of ways.
Having a baby is really hard, but it's something that women get to do. And for women in the workforce, I do think that it is a unique challenge. So as I mentioned, I actually switched jobs in order to have some paid parental leave. I only had 8 weeks. And I had my daughter 5 years ago now, which I can't believe, but she was premature and we were in the NICU, and it was a really challenging time. And in order to keep my job, I had to go back to work before I was really physically and emotionally ready. When I did go back, I actually found out that they had tried to take my title and my seniority away while I was on maternity leave, until they were reminded that that was actually illegal. I also didn't really have a lot of accommodations when I went back to work. They had me pump in our server closet next to all of our really expensive IT equipment, which is a bad idea for so many reasons. So I think that it was a really challenging experience for me, and luckily I was able to navigate it and able to land someplace that does support the worker beyond the 9 to 5, and sort of recognizes the importance and the value of families in the workforce. And I think that even in that short time, that 5-year window, a lot of the attitudes about childcare and paid parental leave, sort of equalizing it amongst genders as well, which is really, really important. They've already started to change. So now we have sort of a statewide leave program, which would have been pretty revolutionary at the time that I had my daughter. And so I think we're already starting to see some movement in that shift, and I really want to make sure that we're heading strongly in that direction.
One critical issue I feel like women face is definitely pay inequity for work. It just has so many long-term consequences, both personally, you're feeling like your work is worth that of a man's, or and also just what happens to your family in terms of you're not earning as much as a man does, and it limits what you can provide for your family. I think in terms of the next 20 years is just going to be, the goal is, to continue to work towards that pay equity. There's more discussion about it now, and that's great. And, it's become more of an issue, I think, but there's a lot of work to be done.
I'll start by saying it's been an amazing year for women, right? We have more women in leadership roles and in office than ever before. We have, more women running for president, which is, a great start. So in terms of a critical issue, I don't think I could narrow it down. I think it's remarkable because the same issues women have faced historically are still issues that we face today. So, gender bias isn't simply found in the workplace and the economy and art and culture and, reflected in kind of the broader ideas of society and the ideas of what a woman's role is or should look like. But it's quite it's unfortunate and overwhelming that it's also found in policy. Like this gender bias can be found in policy, and there are efforts to diminish and chip away at a woman's reproductive rights, and there's pay inequity stemming from policy, and there's lack of access to childcare. Sexual violence statistics are shocking, but not surprising. I think the World Health Organization indicates that 1 of every 3 women globally has experienced either physical or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence in their lifetime. So, I don't know if narrowing down the issues and kind of siloing them is fair, but there are some big ones. We've heard the treasurer speak about the economic and health impacts on women and families based because of pay inequities. We know about the care crisis that reaches into the economy and health of families. But I will say that women have made a lot of progress over the decades. So 1920, when women nationally got the right to vote, Roe v. Wade was a landmark Supreme Court case in 1970s, early 70s, granting women the liberty to choose an abortion without excessive government restriction. In the 80s, the early 80s is when the first time women received more bachelor's degrees than men, and since then women have consistently outpaced men in earning the same level of education. And although women, women's representation is growing among college educated workers, we're still earning less than men. So I think those are some of the critical issues that women are facing, unfortunately, still. Over the next 20 years, I hope that our younger millennials and Gen Zers and continue to build on the work that's already begun, and that other men and women have started, and that's to protect and expand policies that enable and empower women.
The biggest issues, especially being in the middle of this health crisis, is not only like pay equity, but job equity and resource equity. I also think that a lot of that could be changed by increasing women's visibility in places and spaces of leadership and decision making. I think by bringing more diverse experiences to the table will not only enrich whatever comes out of that table, comes from that table, but it'll also enrich the community, I think. And we just have to spend more time making sure that we have women at the table and women from all kinds of backgrounds. And then we'll start to see a shift in our culture and really what leadership looks like.